Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Perspective and a very, very happy Independence Day to everyone. Of course, 14th August, the Qaid's vision for Pakistan, how are we doing? Basically, we'll be talking about all of that, whether Pakistan is on its way to becoming Qaid-e-Azam's Pakistan, all of that today. Before I go on, I want to take a few minutes to read some of the things that Qaid-e-Azam talked about when he spoke to the first Constituent Assembly on 11th August 1947. He said the first and the foremost thing that I would like to emphasize is this. Remember that you are now a sovereign legislative body. You have got all the powers and therefore places you the gravest responsibility as to how you should take your decisions. The first observation that I would like to make is this. You will no doubt agree with me that the first duty of a government is to maintain law and order so that the property, life and religious beliefs of its subjects are fully protected by the state. We'll talk more about how we are, where we are, what kind of protections we offer our people, their life and property and their religious beliefs. Another thing he said was one of the biggest curses from which India is suffering, and I do not say that other countries are free from it, but I think our condition is much worse, is bribery and corruption. This is one of those things that, of course, this government and the Prime Minister has been very close to their heart. There has been a lot of effort. There is on trying to control corruption, the measures being taken. Where are we with regard to that? Are there inroads? Are we making significant inroads into that? We'll be talking about that also. Another thing the Qaid-e-Azam said was, along with many other good and bad, has arrived the great evil of nepotism and jobbery. The evil must be crushed relentlessly. I want to make it quite clear that I shall never tolerate any kind of jobbery and nepotism. Are we free from it today, in today's Pakistan? Let's think about that. Let's also talk about that. Another thing, Qaid-e-Azam, I'm reading, of course, from the text. Now, if we want to make this great state of Pakistan happy and prosperous, we should wholly and solely concentrate on the well-being of the people, especially of the masses and the poor. Have we protected our masses and poor? Let's think about that also. No matter what community he belongs, no matter to what community he belongs, of course he meant whoever, no matter what relations he had with you in the past, no matter what is his color, caste or creed, he is second and last a citizen of this state with equal rights and privileges and obligations. There will be no end to the progress you will make. Basically, he said that there should be uniform standards, the uniform standards should be followed, and that we should and there should be no nepotism of any kind. Lastly, therefore, you must learn a lesson from this. You are free to go to your temples, you are free to go to your mosques or to any other places of worship in this state of Pakistan. You may belong to any religion or caste or creed. That has nothing to do with the business of the state. These are some of the things that the Qaid-e-Azam talked about in his first address on 11th of August. Whether we are following these, are we any close to trying to ensure that we are today that kind of Pakistan that the Qaid said, or even if we are on our way to becoming that kind of Pakistan today. Let's talk about all of that. I have with me Senator Sana Jamali, who is from the BAP. Thank you for being with us. Senator Saiba, what is your take on, of course, let's start off with the fact that, of course, the well-being of the people, the well-being of the poor, something that the Qaid-e-Azam spoke about. Of course, he also talked about the powers of the Legislative Assembly. Do you think that the Assembly today, when you talk about whether it's the National Assembly, whether it's the Senate, are we following that kind of, I would say, dignity that he talked about, the power that the dignity that I think he spoke about stems from that kind of power?
First of all, I should thank you that you have invited me from someone very important and related to Pakistan, Mr. Qaid. I would like to say that regarding dignity of the Assembly, in past there were very different circumstances. There were respected families, there were feudalism was there, but they all were educated. They knew what Pakistan matters to me. Now we have got a different sort of mindset. First of all, for this we have to educate our nation. Then we will have a dignified assembly. Because if you see, we have got very low literacy rate.
But what about the people in the assembly? I mean, one would expect most of them to be educated, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that by that it follows that there is that kind of dignity? I mean, unfortunately, the kind of ruckus that we see happening in the National Assembly is something that happens. It's something that now, you know, is considered part of the course. It's not one of those things that...
Because being from a freedom fighter family, you can see that what circumstances I am facing. I am 5th generation politics. We are in politics since past 90 years. When we see Qaid's picture in the assembly, so all the elite class politicians, they really feel sorry. So we have decided that we will improve the standards of the assembly because we are role model for the country and because what Qaid has stated. So we have to empower each and every member. We have to have a united system where each one should be able to breathe. Each one should be preach. Women should be respected because, as Qaid said, that no nation can prosper if the women are not behind.
But are they? You think? Let's take it. Let's take it. You know, let's talk about women in particular. You think that women in politics, in comparison, very candidly, you think that they're as respected as the men in your profession?
It's basically,
if not as, then nearly.
It's basically, it depends on us women. First of all, we have got our Prime Minister, ex-Prime Minister Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto. She's the role model for the whole Asian nation. Then we had got Famida Mirza. So then we have got these sorts of ladies. They had been in politics.
What are some of the problems you feel? Let's talk about that. What are some of the problems you have faced as a woman that you think that perhaps you wouldn't have faced otherwise when, you know, being in politics? Like you said, you're the 5th generation in.
Frankly speaking, I never felt any problem in politics because we belong to the grassroots level politics and it depends on us that how we may make and realize others to respect us. And in Pakistani society, women are given full importance. Same as what our Prophet Muhammad said, oh people, you have rights over your wife have rights over you, so protect them, give them proper shelter and clothing. So Islam gives equitable respect to women and same as Pakistani society.
You think Pakistani society gives equal respect to women?
Yes, if they would have not given to respect, how they would have asked us to join the assemblies. That's what they have thought, because no bill is passed without our representation. We are 40 in the National Assembly, same as we are having a good strength in the Senate. So, and women are totally, they are 90% they are in the House. They are making full effort. They are providing their full legislation. They are taking part, shoulder to shoulder men. Now the things are changed.
No, but Senator Saiba, you may not have encountered a lot of problems as a, you know, as a woman, but I'm sure that you're aware that the women in this country face a lot of problems.
Yeah, they face, but we have to change the trend basically.
But you think women parliamentarians are changing the trend?
Yes, they are changing because they are making them feel, okay, don't say us that we are from the reserve seats, we are equal.
Are they making an effort? You think that the women parliamentarians are making an effort for women in particular, or do you think that largely, I mean, I'm not just asking about you, but you think that largely they are just, you know, there and it's not, I mean, have you seen women making an effort for women in politics? You think that you've seen women supporting women in politics?
Yes, we can see the Shari Rahman's domestic violence bill and the latest human rights bill. These are the things. They are protecting the women and especially the inheritance law which has been passed by the Punjab government. So these are the elements, so we know how to facilitate ourselves and we can speak better and we can provide amendments in the legislation.
What about otherwise? So what about as you know, we also, let's move on as far as minorities are concerned. You know, of course, we've seen recently there's been a lot of debate on crime against women.
Yeah.
And of course, there's been joint effort, and I think there's been a joint hue and cry by the society as a whole. Do you think there has been any effort in that regard, particularly?
I appreciate all my colleagues, whether they are from the opposition benches or whether they are from the treasury benches. Whenever there is any issue which is against Pakistan or which is against any woman harassment, we all are one. We raise one voice.
So there are no problems in the National Assembly?
No.
None at all?
It's part of life. When we are in the society, we have to face these things. That's
So
why on
those
the very
things-
first...
that's what I mean. I want to talk about, why
that's why
not
on the
talk
ve-
about those things?
That's why
that
on the
you have
very
to face?
first point I said we have to educate ourselves.
what I'm
Because
trying
of
to
the
say.
literacy rate, we have to, when the women will know that they are educated, so they know how to handle their rights.
Do you think that it's easy? Do you think that it's as simplistic as education? Do you think that, you know, if women are educated in the assembly, I mean, a lot of the women, you're educated, a lot of the other women who come into politics are educated, you know, and do you think that it's as simplistic as to say that those women, if they're educated, will not have to bear a kind of, the kind of attitudes or the kind of, unfortunately, the kind of problems that you are saying, of course, are a part
Because
of life?
when I should say harassment is everywhere, whether it's Western society, whether it's Pakistani society, whether it's Asian society. So we have to tackle these things, but why, because education broadens the mind.
Right.
Because in Pakistani society, we have got tribal system. We have got so many women coming from the rural areas. Then we have got from the urban areas. When we have got the social norms and values which we have to follow. So these are the things.
What about the problems working women face in Pakistan?
First of all, it's because I am not basically against the government. Women, they keep on facing
No, I'm not talking about government. I'm not talking about opposition. I'm not talking about government. I'm just talking about the fact that we have a country that we started off with
First of all,
74 years ago, and today
I should say
we're just evaluating
women
where we
are
are.
more hardworking. They produce better results. They are more intelligent than men. So in this matter, they feel discrimination. So I want they should be on the right track. So I want more women should be with the standing committees. More women should be the women minister. Likewise, we have got in New Zealand and everywhere.
You think that women should be
Given more
should have more representation?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. We also have with us AVM retired Ijaz Malik Saab ji. Thank you for being with us. We've been talking about the vision that the Quaid-e-Azam had for Pakistan and whether we're really on our way to becoming that kind of country. We're also talking about women, and we've been talking about the role of women, minorities in Pakistan. What do you feel? How do you see the situation today?
Actually, I think we have digressed from the vision of Qaid. We have not been able to implement even a percentage of that.
Okay.
Because Quaid-e-Azam wanted an Islamic state, but by that it never meant that it would be, a state, a theological state. It was supposed to be a welfare state where all kind of freedoms, whether it was for the minorities, for the women to participate, and just if we just very briefly have a glimpse of our history, the women have participated in the Pakistan movement, just like men. And it was not Qaid's vision to, just keep the women away from the pace of progress. They are half of the population, so they are supposed to be shoulder to shoulder with the men folk. So on that count, plus it was supposed to be a very tolerant society towards everything. Unfortunately, we have lost that vision, and we are no more a tolerant society. We have seen earlier in 50s or 60s, even late 60s, our society, our norms, our social culture fabric, it was quite progressive. But now, because of certain pressure groups, which are obviously in minority, because they rarely get to have a representation in the parliamentary system, but still, because they are a big pressure group, so they at times try to give that message, which is picked up by West, and they portray as if we do not have women right here in Pakistan, or we do not have minority rights.
You're saying that it's It's a wrongly portrayed image.
Yeah, it's more of a perception management, but
okay.
looking inward, we have to, reinforce in our, day-to-day life the vision of the Qaid, which was of a very vibrant, very progressive and very positive society.
Okay. On that note, we're also joined by Ramesh Singh Arora, who's an MPA with Punjab Assembly. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Ramesh Saab, like Ijaz Saab was saying, you think that it's largely a portrayal of Pakistan that is unfavorable, that is not accurate, or do you think that we are, unfortunately, we have digressed from the way that Quaid-e-Azam saw Pakistan and the way that, perhaps it was supposed to be as a state, and it was supposed to grant the kind of freedoms that, Quaid-e-Azam had in mind when Pakistan was formed?
Thank you very much. First of all, happy Independence Day to all who are living in Pakistan, outside the Pakistan, to all the Pakistanis, happy Independence Day. As far as your question is concerned, no doubt, everyone remembers the 11th August speech of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, while he spoke to the first Constituent Assembly, and his message was, today you are free to go to your mosque,
yes, we
to churches, to
Ji.
temples and to the gurdwaras. So this was his, like you can say, the constitution for the Pakistan.
Right.
This was, my Pakistan would be like this.
Right.
As far as the concern, there's a concern that people think that Pakistan is not safe for the minority. There's a perception about the Pakistan that Pakistan is not safe for the minority. I've been to so many places in the world, and I've been there, met with the people. There's a media war. Honestly speaking, there are so many people who have their own vested interests, and they always try to portray a negative image of the country, of the Pakistan. And true image of the Pakistan is that, yes, I live in Pakistan. True image of the Pakistan is opening of Kartarpur corridor for the Sikh community. You can see hundreds and thousands of Sikh community, they are coming to Kartarpur Sahib and paying their homage. Not only the Nanak Namleva and the Sikh community, they are coming. We can see, today I was in Kartarpur, I am just coming from the Kartarpur Sahib. Today, more than 10,000 Muslims, they visited Kartarpur Sahib. So this is something you go and pay your homage. So Pakistan, yes, there are the people who have the vested interest, and they always portray negative image of the country. I don't say that there is 100% perfection. There are certain
there is
issues.
this constant debate, right, which always props up when we talk about not only, I mean, even when we talk about rights of women, there is whether it's a false portrayal or whether the situation on the ground is actually has gotten as bad as that portrayal is. But you are saying that it's largely a portrayal, which is motivated by vested interests.
Yeah, it is true. Who is behind Pakistan? Our enemy is sitting just behind us, and they are always trying to portray a negative image of the country, and they have hired the PR firms. Not only portraying a negative image on the social media, they have hired the PR firms who always try to portray a negative image of the country. So when the Sikh devotees come to Pakistan, while they are coming from Europe, Canada or India, they have something in their mind that we are going to Pakistan and Pakistan is not safe for us. But when they come to Pakistan and meet with the people, their perception is totally changed. And once they go back, they are our ambassadors. So the true image of the country is that we are peace-loving, we always give respect, we are very hospitable. And this must be promoted. Our media can play a vital role to promote this soft image of the, rather I would not call it positive image or soft image. This is a true image of the country that we are minority loving. Like what happened 3 or 4 days before, there was an incident in Bhong Sharif. Everyone, I went over there, I met with the people, and I like there was a solidarity with them, not only there were Muslims, there were Hindus, there were so many other communities who were there to just have a solidarity with them. Our Muslim religious scholars, they condemned this act. No, this is not allowed in Islam. So this is the real face of Pakistan, and we need to tell the people while we are celebrating this 14th August Independence Day. Our message to the world is that we are peace-loving, and we give rights to the minority. And when I talk about the rights of minority, it's not one government initiative. This is a state policy. State is always there to give rights to the minority, and that is coming from the constitution. Our constitution, if you look at preamble, there is minority protection. If you go to the article 36, it talks about the minority
Let's talk
protection.
about that. I'm going to go to Ijaz Sab. Ijaz Sab, you think that the way things are being portrayed at this time, there's of course that false perception that we talk about, but there's also that ground reality at this time. And you know, there's another issue that we spoke about earlier also before you joined us, and we've been talking about, is of course bribery, nepotism, corruption, which was something that the Qaid spoke about again, and it is also something that has been very close to the hearts of this government. There is the Prime Minister has been very vocal about it as far as, you know, clamping down on corruption is concerned. Do you think that we're making inroads into that?
I think at least with the present government, while there could not be a substantial achievement, I would say, as was expected by the masses who have voted, but definitely there is a realization which is, I think, a good start. Now at least there are people who are talking about corruption and saying that corruption is bad. Earlier it was being accepted as a order of the day or a norm of the society. So with present government's effort and other institutional campaign, I think we are on right track, but we need to further pursue all those objectives which can make our society vibrant, which can make our socio-cultural and socio-economic environment friendly, and we should project the same in the media.
What are
also.
some of the issues you feel? What are some of the problems? I mean, we've talked about the false perception, we've talked about how things are not portrayed as they should be, but of course, I mean, we can't deny that things are not as hunky-dory as one would like.
It would not be. It would not be. Ideally speaking, in today's world, there are criminal elements. There are psychologically impaired people. They would commit crimes or they would do such silly things anywhere else also in the world. It is how
you think we are you think that we're as bad or as good as any other country in the world? I mean, if you look at the index, as far as women protection is concerned, we look at, the attitudes towards women working are concerned. I mean, that raises a few eyebrows. There are issues there. One can't deny that.
There are issues, but I think they are displayed or they are, shown in the media.
You think the statistics are wrong?
The issues are there. We don't deny that.
So how do we deal with them? Let's talk about
that. The basic thing is our environment at home, where we teach our young boys to be respectful to the ladies, our schools, the environment which we control or where we radiate our influence. We must exercise those positive things in our own sphere.
Why are we failing there?
Because we are not making any deliberate effort on that count.
Okay. How do you say that we're not making any effort?
Because, for example, in our school and colleges, the education part is there, where the curriculum is being taught. But the training part, which was the integral part, which was the earlier, which was, sustaining our very fine fabric of the society, that is missing. So unless we get back to roots, get back to basics, where we operate in black and white and not in grays, we have to teach our children what is right and what is wrong.
Right. Senator Saib, do you agree?
I agree totally 100%, because these days our new generation is totally on WhatsApp, Facebook. They have forgotten even if a grandmother is sitting there on the WhatsApp. So we have to teach them the values, how to respect women, how to respect elders, and what are your duties, what are your moral duties. Even if you are working in the office, what are your moral duties to respect women? Even if you are a teacher, what are your moral duties to deal with a female student? Because we all belong to an Asian society, we all belong to Islamic society, so we should know the values. So I totally agree with Mac.
You're saying that we're not, but the reason why we're failing to pass on those values, whether you call the Islamic values or the values that Quaid-e-Azam had in mind when he spoke about giving those kind of freedoms across the board. Why are we failing to pass them on?
Because nowadays it's totally on the media. The kids have forgotten. They don't know. They are just saying what's on the net, what's in everything. They don't know how one is eating, how one is sleeping, how we have to entertain a guest, and where are the things gone. So these are the little things, and they have much more workload.
Right. Okay. Let me come back to you. Ramesh sir, in your experience, minority protection in Pakistan, you've said, of course, that things are not as bad as they're being portrayed. But what are some of the measures you think that can be taken to safeguard minorities? And I'm not just talking about minorities. Also, I mean, I'll include women in this.
Look, Air Vice Marshal Saab identified some of the key issues and challenges we're facing nowadays. That is the mindset. Until or unless we are not going to change the mindset, we're not going to change the attitude towards your seniors, towards the minorities, towards the women, towards your neighbors, certainly change would never come. And that change, that mindset should be changed from the household level. Let me tell, normally I share this example with my fellows. My daughter, she is studying in convent. One morning she comes to me and talks that, Papa, I'm not superior because I'm not Muslim. And I was shocked. What are you talking? Why are you saying this? And the answer was, Papa, one of my class fellow, she's a Muslim, and yesterday she was sitting with me, and she started hating me. I said, why? She said, because I am a superior, I am a Muslim, and you people will go to hell because you're non-Muslim, you're kafir. So this is the mindset which is coming from the household level. So we need to change that mindset. If you're not going to do that, what we're going to do, maybe we will come up with a nation which don't have any values, which don't have any respect. And the size of this mindset is not more than 5%, and we need to do a little effort. Nowadays we're doing a lot, particularly interfaith harmony. There's a Paigam-e-Pakistan, so many other programs. We're going to create interfaith harmony among different religions, and we need to do that. And rather than engaging elder people, we need to go ahead and pinch at the household level. We need to change the mindset of at household level. Certainly, because that is the place from where the child is getting information, knowledge, everything, and then whole of the life that would be used for his day-to-day routine.
Do you think that your own colleagues, you think that there is, and if you talk about the assembly, do you think that you get that kind of response that you would like from your own colleagues, from the members?
If you ask from me, if you ask from any Sikh guy, they will say we are very much respected here in Pakistan. This is the reality. And normally I say that Sikh minority is a minority which exploits the majority, because if I'm going to any bank or anywhere else and there's a long queue, someone would come and, oh Sardarji, why are you standing here? You come first because you are a guest, you are respectable for us. So people treat us like a VVIP. So for me, I don't feel any discrimination in Pakistan. We are very much respected, and I still own the decision of my forefathers. The decision they were taken at the time of partition in 1947, I still own that, and I salute that decision, because of that decision, I'm getting lots of decisions. But still, there are so many challenges. When I talk to any Hindu guy, when I talk to any Christian guy, they feel some sort of discrimination, and we need to change that mindset. Because under the flag of Pakistan, we all are one, and our identity is that we are a Pakistani. When I go outside from Pakistan, I use that green passport, and that is my identity. That identity is with the AVM, that is my identity with Madam Senator, that identity is with you, and that identity is with me. So we need to, rather to have a crowd, let's have a nation, and we should be proud of that nation, and my identity is my own country, Pakistan. Yeah. We need to work.
Jahanzeb, that feeling of patriotism, do you think that we're passing that on substantially? That feeling of, which is what Ramesh Saab is talking about, Senator Sanna has also spoken about that, the fact that, we're all one under one flag, it's all, Pakistanis. the religion being, of course, Muslims, or that of course is important. But as Pakistanis, do you think that we are passing on the patriotism? And I don't mean, when I say patriotism, I don't mean everybody who's outside right now, the people with flags. I mean, with due respect to their emotions, but are we passing on the feeling of patriotism for our country? The fact that, little things like that, we must not litter, we must not, which all have to do with making the country better, making Pakistan a better place to live in. Little things that everyone can do.
To be very honest, I would say no.
Okay.
Because as Ramesh Sahib has just mentioned, we have not been able to evolve into a nation. We do not have ownership. The day we start to have ownership, then the moment I get out of my home, the litter outside my home, in the street, on the road, it will bother me as much as within the four walls of my own house. So anything going wrong, if it is not acceptable to me for my family and my own premises, how is it acceptable to me for my street, for my community, for my city or country?
So where did we go wrong when you say that we have not been able to, and I think you're right when you say that one nation, the concept of that one nation.
Actually, I have my take on this is actually we got Pakistan with the struggle of Qaid-e-Azam, whereas immediately after Pakistan, once there was a time of transition where we have to consolidate and morph into an institutional mechanisms and morph into a society and a nation. At that stage, unfortunately, the leadership, they could not do their job well. And the reason being, the Qaid left us, unfortunately, within a month, within a year of formation of the new country. And those people, they came into power who or their ancestors were against the very formation of Pakistan. The feudals and the neo-feudal later on, the businessmen and politicians, they joined the feudals. And the main issue of what you were earlier talking about, an attitude against women or against marginalized society, it is because of the socio-economic setup and not because of the religion or the national psyche. So, but it becomes a news because a poor laborer, whether he's a Muslim or he's a Sikh or a Christian, he has same miseries in all our areas. But the media would pick up as if they are being discriminated. That is the issue.
You're saying that all strata of society have the same miseries.
I will just explain. For example, if there is a place and there is a crime, a blast or anything, any accident, there are 10 people, and if there is one Hindu in that will be picked up by media and they will say a Hindu has been targeted. What about those other 9 who are Christian or Muslim or whosoever they were all Pakistanis. So that is the problem. We have to make a deliberate effort wherein we inculcate that kind of ownership in our youngsters. They own everything that this country has, and rather than just thinking, because what has happened that over the years there is a kind of shift in our attitudes wherein we do not get involved in the things that we should be doing.
Right. Senator Sana, do you agree? You think that there is a lack of, what Ijaz Sahab is talking about? He's saying that when we talk about a national spirit, when we talk about the concept of a nation, we've deviated from that. We have unfortunately not been able to, amass ourselves under, that slogan of being Pakistani. Which should have been the first and foremost for everyone.
To some extent, I don't agree, because if you can see back in 2006, when there was a time when we were not able to raise Pakistani flag in Quetta, you can see our feelings. So we are not deviated. Pakistan has always given us something. It's how we should
No,
improve.
but what have we given Pakistan? I'm not talking about what Pakistan has given us. What have we given Pakistan? Do we have a clean country today? Do we have, in all senses of the word?
It's not any country in the world is clean, basically.
You think we can compare with any country in the world?
No, we are something very different.
Yes, exactly. So we must.
We have got one of the.
You think that do you think that perhaps taking ownership of the way things are is a first step to us changing them, or do you think denying the way things are is perhaps?
First of all, we should see from our inner selves that where we lack, where we are wrong.
Where do we lack? Let me ask you as a parliamentarian. You said you're a 5th generation parliamentarian. Yeah. Let me ask you, where do we lack?
Frankly speaking,
because we can't keep saying, frankly speaking,
we can't
keep saying it's about perception. We can't keep saying it's how things look. We have to at some point realize that there are issues.
I am typical different sort of person. In my opinion, we being a Pakistani, we don't lack anything. It's the unity. If we have got.
No, I'm not saying that being a Pakistani we lack anything. I'm saying that as a nation, what have we done to build a solid country? That's my question.
Yeah. So, I think we need to be educated. We need to be firm. We need to have our goals and we have to empower our youth. Like, because we've got 60% population of women, we have to empower that. We have got 60% youth, we have to empower that. We should give our nation all the resources so they should not do any corruption. They should be loyal to their country. That's the spirit we must have.
Right. Ramesh Saab, same question to you. You think that, let's talk about that. How do we empower, which is what Senator Sana is saying, how do we empower our youth?
Look, Mahrukh, one thing we need to understand, that is the ownership. And I need to be accountable to myself. The country has given me this respect. What I'm going to give to the country. So until unless I'm not going to own this country, and this is the way we lack. Because if I'm studying over here, I studied here, and then I'm looking for a visa or immigration to go outside, because whatever the country is given to me, I'm not going to pay back to the country. So first of all, I have to own this country.
Ramesh sir, do you think our leaders have owned this country? Yes. You think they want to? I mean, unfortunately, we are, whatever the party position, whatever the party politics, we have had leaders who have preferred to be abroad, who have preferred to get treated abroad, who have preferred to go for, it's not like they have taken ownership of the way things are at this time in Pakistan. Do you think that also translates down? It has a trickle-down effect?
Mahrukh, this is a long debate. So you cannot blame only the political leadership. There are so many other people who are engaged, who are involved, who are part and parcel.
I'm saying across the board.
So rather, I am a very practical guy, and I always go for the solution, rather to identify who is behind this whole idea, who is trying to portray a negative image. Like, rather to blame India and rather to blame someone else, that they have their vested interest and that's why they are creating unrest in Pakistan. I know India is my enemy. I know Afghanistan, maybe the guy who is an advisor national advisor, he will portray negative image of the country. But how I'm going to tackle the situation? How I have to respond? What steps what measures I have to take in to protect from them, to protect from the enemy? So as long as you're talking about who is like where this problem exists or who is ultimately responsible. So first of all, I would say I am responsible, because if I'm going to start it from my own, I'm going to change myself, and I own my responsibility, and I own my country, then automatically change would come. And this is what the future generation, to youth, we need to educate them. We need to tell them that this is something which is a gift from the Quaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And if you are going to ask about what is independence, go and ask from the Kashmiris. Go and ask from the Sikhs who are living in India, and there's Sikh genocide in 1984. So ask from them what is independence. So God has gifted you this independence. This is something which is don't have any value. So if I'm going to start it from my own, certainly change would come. Until if I'm going to blame someone, change would never come.
Right, okay. Ijaz Sahab, your comments. Unfortunately, we're running out of time.
I will fully agree with him that we should, the problem resolution, the very first stage is the realization of the problem. So we should not be in denial mode. We should start, addressing the problems. And it will take time, because if we have not been able to develop certain institutional mechanisms in past 74 years, so you can't do it overnight. But we have to be on the right track and continue doing our effort. And I'm very positive, inshallah, that in coming times, things will be much better than what they are today.
Yeah, we have to be on the right track. As my colleague has said, you can imagine the Kashmiris issue. So we have to realize our youth, realize our parliamentarians in each and every segment of society that where we are wrong, we should be together and we should work for the betterment of our future generation. Now it's high time. 74 years are gone, third, fourth generations are gone. So we are elder enough, we can solve Pakistan. God has given Pakistan each and everything. We have got all good leaders and all our leaders were sincere. In past 70 years, all our leaders have given something to Pakistan. All our youth has given something to Pakistan. If they would have not done anything, so we would have not stand over here. That's
Right.
what I
Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator Sana Jamali, Ramesh Singh Arora, Air Vice Marshal retired Ijaz Malik Saab. Thank you for being with us. As far as perhaps instead of today sitting and saying that it's about image, it's about perception, I think it's high time that we own not only Pakistan, but Pakistan with all its problems. We realize where we are, and so that we can work towards changing things. If we close our eyes and say that those problems don't exist, if we say that it is a wrong perception today, then perhaps we'll never go and move towards that kind of change that is necessary. That first step that needs to be taken for there to be actual change in Pakistan, for there to be some kind of move towards Quaid-e-Azam's Pakistan. Let's hope that we can all do that. Thank you so much for being with us. A very happy Independence Day to you all.